Fighting fair isn't enough. Win without casualties. Opening reflection. They tell us to fight fair in relationships, to stay calm, to avoid hitting below the belt, to use I statements instead of blame, to take turns speaking and listen when it's not ours. These are the rules we're taught. But here's the truth most people never say out loud, even when both partners follow all the rules of fighting fair. The relationship can still bleed out slowly over time, because not all damage looks like yelling, and not all wounds are caused by cruelty. Sometimes the most destructive thing in a relationship isn't how we fight, it's that we fight at all, with no strategy, no clarity, and no endgame. This episode is not about playing nice, it's about winning without casualties, navigating conflict not as a boxing match with rules, but as a battlefield where strategy determines survival, because in love, there are no trophies for good behavior, only consequences. Let's begin. The illusion of fairness. Fighting fair is a well-intentioned idea. It assumes that if we both play by the same emotional rules, we can come out the other side intact. But relationships aren't courtrooms, and fairness doesn't always lead to resolution, because fairness is subjective. One person thinks they're being clear, the other hears criticism, one thinks they're expressing hurt, the other feels manipulated. So what happens? We follow the script, we take deep breaths, we wait for our turn to speak, and then nothing really changes. Because beneath the surface, the real war isn't in what's said, it's in what's withheld, misunderstood or misaligned. You can fight fair 100 times and still erode trust drop by drop. You can fight fair and still lose respect, still lose safety, still lose intimacy. Fighting fair is not enough, because even in fair fights, people get tired of fighting, and over time, they stop showing up altogether. The hidden cost of repeated conflict. Let's be clear, conflict itself is not the enemy. Unresolved, chronic conflict is. Every argument that ends without resolution leaves emotional residue. Each time we raise our voice, or even calmly disagree without resolution, we're spending energy, not just physical or mental energy, but emotional currency. And here's where most people go blind. We assume that if we're not shouting, if we're keeping things civil, then we're not doing harm. But energy leaks happen quietly, like a battery that dies slowly overnight. Each unresolved moment of friction, each sigh, each cold silence, each conversation where we talk past each other. These things don't explode. They dissolve us. And the cost? Emotional withdrawal, avoidance, loss of sexual polarity, loss of admiration, until the relationship becomes functional but lifeless. Two people coexisting, but not emotionally investing, not because they don't care, but because the price of conflict became too high. This is what we mean by casualties. No bruises, but something sacred dies. Conflict as a battlefield, not a debate. To truly understand this, we need to shift paradigms. Stop thinking of conflict as a debate to be won, or a miscommunication to be smoothed over. Start thinking of it as a battlefield, not in a hostile sense, but in a strategic one. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu writes, "The greatest victory is that which requires no battle." This is the mindset we need to bring into our relationships. Because if every disagreement becomes a war of words, even fair wars, we will always have losses. So we must learn to win without fighting. And more importantly, we must learn how to end conflict without casualties. This requires something most couples avoid. Strategic clarity. Who are we in this moment of tension? Are we lovers, enemies, negotiators? What's the terrain? Are we tired, triggered, hungry, hormonal? And most importantly, what's the goal? Is the goal to be right, to be heard, to get a need met, or to create a solution that elevates the bond? Until both people know what game they're playing, they'll keep swinging blindfolded. Strategy begins with clarity. 3 levels of conflict strategy. Let's break this down into actionable layers. Each layer offers a way to navigate conflict without creating casualties. 1. Emotional terrain mapping. Before any engagement, pause and scan the terrain. Ask, what is this fight really about? Are we dealing with a core wound or surface tension? Is this the right time to address it? What emotional state are we each in? You wouldn't hike through a thunderstorm without gear, so why step into emotional confrontation without preparation? Most fights go wrong before they even start because we enter them reactively, not strategically. Mapping the emotional terrain means knowing your own triggers, their sensitivities, the past landmines, the likely escalation patterns. This allows you to choose your engagement instead of being pulled into it. 2. Purpose-driven conflict. Every strategic engagement must have a purpose. Without it, even a fair fight becomes a drain. Before saying a single word, know your objective. Do you want to be heard? Do you want a behavior to change? Do you need to set a boundary? Or are you just discharging emotion? These are not the same goals. If you don't clarify the purpose, the conversation will loop in circles. Worse, the other person won't know how to respond because your energy won't match your message. Example, if your true purpose is to feel safe, but your tone is aggressive, they'll feel attacked and defend. Now you're both in survival mode, and nothing good can happen there. Purpose-driven conflict means aligning intention, tone, timing, language, all toward a single aim. 3. Post-conflict restoration. Here's the part most people skip, and it's why even fair fights do damage over time. There's no repair ritual. After tension, there must be reconnection. This doesn't mean pretending nothing happened or rushing into intimacy prematurely. It means creating space for integration. Ask, what did we learn from this? What can we do differently next time? How can we remind each other we're still on the same team? This may look like a physical gesture, a held hand, a long hug, a verbal bridge. I know that was hard. I still care. A symbolic reset, a walk, a shared meal, a short silence. Without restoration, conflict becomes cumulative. Even small disagreements pile up until the emotional bank account runs dry. Strategic love means you invest in repair, not just resolution. Why winning looks different in love. In romantic dynamics, winning doesn't mean getting your way. It means protecting the bond, preserving trust, safety, and polarity. So when we say win without casualties, we mean communicate without draining each other, resolve tension without eroding desire, set boundaries without breaking connection, speak truth without weaponizing it. That's not easy, but it's the only form of victory that matters in love. When not to engage at all. Sometimes, the most strategic move is to withdraw, not out of avoidance, but out of awareness. If the emotional terrain is flooded, if one or both people are dysregulated, if the same fight has happened 5 times before, then engagement is not strength, it's recklessness. Sun Tzu again. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Now, your partner is not your enemy, but your patterns can be, and sometimes the best way to break resistance is with stillness. No escalation, no retaliation, just quiet awareness. Withdraw, regroup, then return with clarity. That is strength. Closing insight. Love is not the absence of conflict. It's the mastery of it. To fight fair is better than fighting dirty. but it is still a form of warfare, and in war, even clean wounds can leave scars. The mature lover doesn't seek to win every argument. They seek to protect the emotional ecosystem, to preserve polarity, to hold dignity on both sides, to navigate storms without wreckage. Fighting fair isn't enough, but strategy, restoration, and emotional precision can turn the battlefield into a place of deepening where no one walks away wounded and both walk away wiser. If this message resonated with you, if you're done bleeding in fair fights and you're ready to navigate love with strategy, clarity, and strength, subscribe to Strategic Intimacy. This channel is your training ground for navigating emotional warfare with wisdom, for loving without losing power, and for finally learning how to win without casualties. I'll see you in the next episode.